Hello and welcome back to Season 2 of Tiksu to UniTartu. My name is Vincent, and yet again, I will be your guide through everything Tiksu to UniTartu. We really appreciate all the comments and suggestions we had from last season, so if you have any more of those, please continue to send those out to us. We really appreciate it. And today we're going to be talking about my first year at UT, and I'm joined by two wonderful guests, Elsa and Nat. Elsa, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure, I'm Elsa. I'm a first-year master's student in the folkloristics and applied heritage studies, and I'm from the US.
Cool. And how did you find out about Estonia, and why did you come here?
I actually came here for the program, so just through researching folkloristic programs. We have a really uniquely strong program in that.
Mm-hmm.
We have an affiliation with UNESCO for intangible cultural heritage research, so I really came here for the program.
Great. And Nat, would you like to introduce yourself as well and tell us why you came to Estonia?
Yep, I'm Nat, and I'm a second-year science and technology student doing a bachelor's, and I'm specializing in genetics and biotechnology. And I found out about the program via labs mostly. There's been quite like a strong research in some of the labs in our faculty, and it's been very interesting for me.
Great. So you guys kind of already dove into what you guys study here, but how do you like your program so far, and would you recommend it to somebody else?
I love my program. I think it's very well structured. The fact that we are choosing our specialization later in our studies, so we have like 3 semesters to decide what we like most. I really like that, and I would recommend that to anyone who's a little bit indecisive about what exactly they want to do.
Mm-hmm.
But know that they want to like dedicate their life to science, and I think it's a great program.
Great. And how about yourself, Elsa?
I mean, yeah, I guess our folkloristics program is really unique.
Mm-hmm.
Just the discipline itself is conceptualized and taught differently in Estonia, and we kind of follow a Finnish European tradition in that way. So in the US, it would be more like cultural anthropology or area studies, and you'd be focusing on one place. But here the focus is on cultural theory and the study of folklore more generally.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like a discipline difference, really.
Yeah. And what would you say like is your specialty?
I study Norwegian folklore.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I was just asking, in Estonia, I know there's like a lot more kind of emphasis on folklore and tradition. So I think maybe the environment would be a little bit more conducive to, whatever you might be studying.
Yeah, I mean, there's lots of resources here, like really strong archives and a history of studying heritage. But it's also easy to apply to other countries like Norway.
Yeah, definitely.
We have the theoretical framework to do that.
Yeah, great. So when you guys first came to Estonia and you guys, maybe first fresh off the bus, what were your first impressions of Estonia and maybe UT in general?
I came straight to Tartu. Like, I didn't stop at Tallinn much.
Oh, okay.
But when I came to Tartu, it was like a very, very small city for me. And because I always lived in quite big cities. Mm-hmm. So this was very unusual. But I've grown to like the convenience of a small town.
Yeah.
It's quite cool when you can get anywhere in like 20 minutes max.
Yeah, even by walking too.
Yeah. And also a lot of people on bikes, a lot of people on scooters, a lot. That was like the first impression of the bus.
Yeah, I do really appreciate that you don't necessarily need a car here, and it's not as car-centric. You can get around like any way you might need to with a bus, public transport, even the scooters, bikes. It's really nice.
Mm-hmm.
And,
I'd second that. Mm-hmm. Yeah, especially coming from the US.
Definitely.
Mm-hmm.
And what were your first impressions?
I came from Riga on the bus. Okay. So it literally was like, okay, fresh off the bus, like in Tartu, first time in Estonia, was when I got here in August. I remember thinking like, it's very cute. Yeah. Like I like passing a lot of the smaller houses in the countryside and thinking like things seem kind of down to earth here and like just a smaller scale. And then Tartu, like I thought the architecture was really cute. I think now I've gotten used to it. Yeah, I don't notice it as much, but at first it was like, oh, the colors are so pretty and it's so European.
It's very European, yeah, because Estonia was my first experience in Europe also. And when I came here, I'm from Chicago, so it's kind of a newer city. There's no old buildings, and you don't see anything abandoned.
It's so old.
Yeah.
And quiet. Like
Exactly.
very like clean public space, very quiet.
It was exciting for me to go around and find like, oh, that place is abandoned, that place is dilapidated, or like, oh, because it just feels like it just feels like, you know, all the space needs to be used up in the US, or at least in my city. You know, every single thing has a new project, new development. Here, you know, everything's a little bit more relaxed, and they kind of they'll appreciate that it's like a heritage of a building, you know, that this was built so long ago. We want to keep it, we want to restore it, and we'd like to, you know, preserve that, which I really appreciate.
Like not this like rat race feeling. Just even like when you're walking the streets in a big city, you start to absorb what other people are feeling around you, you know? And then here I feel like it's more like, you know, people are like, you know, stop and pick up some trash.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
Kind of like, you know, look at the tree.
And you basically know everyone.
Yes, I love that. I love running into people.
I think I've seen everyone in this city at least once, if not twice. Like
probably, yeah.
You might not know him by name, but you're like, that's the guy with the beard. That's the guy with the hat.
That's true. That's
The guy with the stroller.
Yeah. Well, there might be more than one of those, but
you know, yeah.
So before you guys moved to Estonia, did you have any expectations maybe of Estonian culture, or maybe how the city or school would be before you came here, and were those expectations met?
So I don't know if I mentioned, but I'm from Azerbaijan, but I lived 10 years in Spain, Madrid.
Okay.
So in both these countries, people are quite energetic, loud, and very, very like talkative.
Yeah.
And I had an impression, probably stereotypical, that Estonians are more on the cooler side, you know, more calmer, you know. But I was pleasantly surprised when I got here. Actually, everyone was more than happy to help me when I was asking any questions, and everyone was very welcoming. I didn't feel like anything cold, and, you know. I felt the cold in January, but that was more of a physical cold.
No, I think that is like a big stereotype about Estonia, that everybody's cold and maybe angry, which is true to some degree. You know, people aren't walking around with a big smile on their face, but everybody is very willing to welcome you into their community and welcome you to, you know, the culture as well.
Yes, that's completely true. And I was like so pleasantly surprised. And then I was telling my family that. They were like, really? I was like, yes, really.
Yeah. And Elsa, what about you? Did you have any expectations, and were they met?
Oh, man, I mean, I wasn't that familiar with like Eastern European or Baltic culture or history that much.
No,
like I read
neither.
a history book before I came about Estonia.
Yeah.
And I Googled and I found things like Estonians are very cold. Oh. Estonians are very cold. They like hide their emotions. And I've also found that to not always be true. Like people will tell me very enthusiastically that they hide their emotions, but they're saying it while they're like having a big expression on their face. So, I mean, I think it really depends on the person.
I think it really depends on like where you're going, maybe what your hobbies are and what kind of places you go. It's definitely a different experience for everyone, but I think it is a bit disingenuous to maybe say that every single Estonian is cold and dark.
I feel like that's everywhere. You know, you just can't make generalizations.
Yeah. Definitely. So maybe when you guys first came here, we kind of talked a little bit about the Estonians being cold, and that's definitely a culture shock for some people, you know, them not having a smile on their face. But did you guys experience any other culture shocks when you first moved to Estonia?
Ooh, I definitely did. So when I first came here and I was on a bus to the university, my institute.
Fresh off the bus.
Yes. No, but that was like the bus from my dorm to the university, and it was like peak hour, so everyone is going to work, the bus is packed, and it was so quiet. Like no one is talking and the bus is completely quiet. You only hear like the engine and that's it. But you know, in Spain, for example, when you're in a bus, it's like everyone is talking. You can't even hear yourself. So, and in cafes, in restaurants, also everyone is like very, very quiet, and public places are quite quiet. Like, yeah, so that was a cultural shock for me.
Yeah, I absolutely love that actually. And there's nobody blasting music off their phone, or if they were, you know, another Estonian will get up and tell them off. So I definitely had that same experience as you when I came here. But Elsa?
Same, yeah. I was gonna say something and I forgot.
Yeah, don't worry. Take a sec.
I remember noticing that a little bit, but then my family came to visit me. And then when we were all together, it really stood out to me. Mm-hmm. And I would notice, like, when we would walk somewhere, just like in the neighborhood on the sidewalk, we were like yelling to each other basically when we were talking. And I realized that everyone else walking around us was like almost whispering. Yeah. And I was like, oh my God, guys.
No, yeah, it is a little
tone
bit
it down.
Reserved. Yeah. I have that feeling too when I first came here, but maybe I've lived here long enough that I can spot Americans from, 800 meters away. You hear them before you see them.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah. Actually in the same like vein, I went out to, one of my classes had like a lunch. Mm-hmm. We had a guest speaker come and we celebrated by going out to one of the places in town. But I had to come a little bit late. I was coming from somewhere else and I came like 10 minutes after they started. And I arrived, it's like 12 people, complete silence. Everyone was eating their food in total silence. And it felt like, did they just have a fight? Like, what does this mean? But I think maybe people are just enjoying their food. Like, it feels like a real cultural difference because I'm used to talking while I eat. That's like I also do. Really social moment. Yeah. But I was like, oh my God.
Yeah, and I feel like you're kind of expected to have a conversation with the whole table, maybe.
Yeah.
But here, you get your person to the left and your right, and you get across from you, and maybe those two, and then beyond that, you're not going to have like a big group conversation. It's going to be a little bit more segmented. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I also wanted to ask you guys. You mentioned your family coming here. How has it been for you guys with family? Have you experienced some homesickness? How often do you guys keep in contact?
Me and my family are very close, so we talk basically every day. Not maybe video chatting, but simple messages every day. And I don't think I felt homesick because my parents' job required us to move around quite often, okay, yeah. So I'm pretty used to it. But I did feel the difficulties of living completely alone. Like, what do you mean I have to do my own laundry? Or like completely cook for myself? And it was very time consuming, apparently.
Running the household yourself.
Yes. So that was a big thing. But yeah, homesickness, the food. I really miss the food. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I really, really miss the food because I still can't get used to Estonian meat, for example. Mm-hmm. It tastes, I think, completely different from my home country. Yeah. And I can't find anything near it here, and it's still like an issue.
I've had other people tell me that they're not big on the food, but the one thing I love about Estonia is the sour cream just hits different here. Yes, the sour cream just hits different. I don't know what it is.
Yes, sour cream is great. With crepes.
Anything. They put it on everything. And I'm here for it.
I kind of like the salad with the cucumbers and the dill and the tomato. Yeah. Got into that.
So what about yourself with your family?
Well, I'm a bit older. I'm a bit more independent. Like I did my undergraduate degree in the US in a different state that was like a 4-hour plane ride away from my home state. Yeah. So I basically moved out of my house then. Mm-hmm. And then I had 2 years in between my degrees. Okay. So I've been living by myself for a while. Yeah. So I think I already went through that 6 years ago.
Yeah.
But yeah, for me, it's the food. And I think when the seasons change, also you're kind of reminded of like certain smells or like for me, it's like the cicadas or the smell of rain or like certain like sensory things will send me back. But yeah, in a lot of ways, like I have friends really spread out all over the place. So I'm always feeling like I'm missing someone in a way. Yeah. It's not about a place anymore.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. I kind of feel the same way. I know you mentioned the different changing seasons. Like, how have you guys coped with the different weather here compared to where you're from?
So the first year I was not here during January, and I was just looking at the weather forecast and it's like negative 15 degrees, and I've never experienced that before. Yeah. But this year I was here in January and I did experience it, and it was interesting.
It was interesting.
I didn't get out of the house much, you know. But I really enjoy the rain. For example, like right now it's the rain season, and I really, really love it. I love the smell of the rain.
Yeah.
And the grass, and everything is just getting green, and it's like very, very cool. Yeah. But I miss the sun a lot.
Yes. Yeah. Winter was tough, to be honest. Like, so I went to college in Massachusetts, which maybe is like kind of similar temperature wise.
I'd say so.
But the daylight hours is what's like, I haven't lived somewhere where the length of the day changes so much, or sunlight hours. So like that was really hard. And I think I kind of felt like once spring comes, it'll like feel like it was doable. Yeah. You know, like, oh, it did end. But now that spring has come, I kind of feel like I never want to do that again.
Yep. Do you guys maybe have any tips or tricks for somebody coming here and experiencing their first Estonian winter? Because for me, I know a lot of people have come here, and I've told this story before on the podcast, and they're not used to ice, they're not used to snow, and the one girl had come here and broke her arm slipping on ice, and then 2 weeks later did the same thing.
Yeah, so, get good boots.
You gotta have good boots. You gotta be
grip. Yeah, and walk like a penguin. You can't walk the same way. You have to shift your weight differently.
That's true.
I had to learn that in undergrad.
So the first year I was really protesting against winter. So I didn't change the way I dressed in Spanish winter and in Estonian winter. And it was a very poor decision.
So your tip might be winter's not going to change for you. You have to change for winter.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, you can try like a better alternatives of your style, just a little warmer so that you can still, you know, feel your knees, for example.
Yeah, definitely.
I think, like leaning into those differences maybe. Like I'm from Texas, so the weather is a lot more similar throughout the year. Like we're closer to the equator. So I also didn't have any like activities that I grew up with that are winter activities. Like I skied for the first time in January.
Oh, awesome.
You know? So for me, winter feels like I'm trapped inside and I can't do anything and I can't be active. But I think like if I continue to live in these cold places, it's like leaning into what can you do that you can only do in the winter, like winter sports or
the winter swimming,
the coat that you love to wear. I don't know. Leaning into that change.
Yeah. I had already mentioned I'm from Chicago, but the climate's pretty similar. We used to have really, really snowy stuff. So for me, it wasn't too much of a shift. And I've been kind of able to pick up, you know, the sledding. And one thing I specifically like about Estonia is that they, instead of a stroller, they'll lug their kid behind with a sled. And I think that is just the cutest thing ever.
It's so cute.
Yeah. But speaking of favorite things about Estonia, do you guys maybe have something that is just you love about Estonia and you can't steal my sour cream?
I have like really goofy answers and like really serious answers.
Give me one of both.
You know? Well, I have to think about the goofy one more. It's really safe. I mean, I feel really, I keep doing that. I feel really safe and comfortable here. Like walking around at night, you know, as a woman, like I think I feel so comfortable that I've gotten used to it and I take it for granted now. And then sometimes I remember that it's not like that. Yeah. In other places, even in the US. Like this is probably the place I've lived where I feel the most comfortable.
No, definitely.
That's a big one.
Yeah. I once did an interview as a foreigner for a local newspaper, and I had mentioned that I feel safe not locking my doors. Not that I don't lock my doors, but I know a lot of people are like, who is this guy? He's going to get robbed. But I feel very safe. I feel like I wouldn't have to lock my door. I don't feel like there's a sense of social responsibility that kind of permeates the society here. And I really enjoy that.
Yeah. Like I see that, like, for example, coat racks in restaurants. Yeah. Like I've never seen that before. Like I would be worried that someone would steal my coat if I left it by the door and sat somewhere else. But here it feels like that's part of the culture. Like people are kind of respecting, like that's not mine, I'm not going to touch it.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly.
Yeah.
I think there's that kind of unsaid, unwritten rule that people aren't going to break. And I mean, obviously there's detractors for every kind of thing, you know, there's hooligans, but generally for the most part, people aren't going to act out of line. And I do appreciate that.
Yeah. I think for me, I really love the nature here. It's very green. And also I love the long days during summer, like super long days where it gets dark at like 10, 11. I don't know. I really enjoy that. And I also very much like also the safety. Like it's actually like a big thing, and I think it was like one of the reasons why, as I was moving out of my house for the first time, and my parents were really comfortable with me coming here alone because it's a very safe country. It has a reputation of a very safe country, and
definitely
it completely proves it. So I also think that it's a very good thing.
Okay. We talk now about Estonia. We love Estonia. But what about UT specifically? Do you guys have a favorite thing that UT does really well, University of Tartu, that we're just really happy about here for our studies?
I don't have much to compare to, but I think I really love the human-oriented approach. Like I feel comfortable like coming up to any like professor and saying that, hey, like I'm sorry, but I won't be able to attend this seminar because of this and this reasons. They're like, yes, it's completely okay, and like you don't have to write big emails and specify reasons like exactly why you can't attend the seminar, because everyone is very like understanding, and I feel like if anything happens, I can always go to my program director, say that, this is an issue, and they will help. So it's a very like friendly environment. I like it.
Yeah, I might have a different, not a different experience in terms of that, but one thing that I really like is kind of the digital availability. I was in the Marine Corps, and everything was kind of a paper trail, and everything online was really janky and didn't work well. And everything here, I mean, maybe it's not everybody's experience, but I really appreciate that all the digital, the online, the Moodle, the UIS, everything worked pretty well. And I kind of knew exactly what was outlined for my study program. And I knew exactly what I needed to do, which classes I needed to take. And it was kind of really easily laid out for me. And I appreciated that a lot.
Yeah, they email back so fast. Yeah. I forgot about that because now I'm used to it. But it's amazing. Like, are they just at their computer? Like, it's like within seconds sometimes. Yeah. I guess I'm trying to think of things that aren't just so specific to my program, because I think my program is just does what it does really well. I've taken some electives outside of my program, and so in my experience, there's some really great professors at the university, like who are doing really interesting research. I guess I've mostly done like things in the humanities, but yeah, like somehow it maybe for a reason it pulls like really good professors who are kind of like, I want to say groundbreaking. Like I know a lot of people who are like one of few who study what they study.
Yeah.
I think also like, I guess this is different from an American university. I feel like the education just feels more accessible here. Like
definitely,
and the way that Tartu is such a university town, like there's so many people who live here who are connected to the university, and it's so much easier to do a master's. I'm thinking of Estonians also, like do multiple degrees. I'm part of a philosophy reading club that's like some professors, some people who do it just for fun, like some people who just live in town. I think it's really great to have that culture of people being involved in academia, even if they're not students. Like that's definitely so accessible, and it creates this really wonderful culture about learning.
Yeah, and you know, all the people you know are somehow involved in the university. They're either working there, they know somebody that's studying, they're studying themselves. And I've gotten a lot of support for my studies when I was doing my degree in terms of, just somebody helping out. They're like, oh, I have this document, or I have this organizer, this is what I do. And
really openness and generosity in that way.
Definitely.
Yeah, especially the international student community is like very, very strong here. Like everyone knows everyone. I love this. Like you can always find someone through the friend of a friend of a friend.
Yeah.
And I really, really love this. And everyone is so like interconnected. I really like that.
Yeah. So guys, we're kind of running a little bit low on time here. I wanted to ask you guys one more question. What are you guys hoping to maybe accomplish with the rest of your time of UT, or maybe what's something that you want to do before you leave Estonia?
Well, I'm moving in a week. So
you have 1 week.
I want to go to the Volbe celebrations tonight. I'm probably saying that in a really Norwegian way.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how to say it in English. It's like say Walpurgis, something like that.
And for the uninitiated, it's kind of a night. I just learned about this too. It's a night where, everybody kind of goes out, the students, and they roam around and party and kind of get up to a little bit of mischief. So.
Have parades. They take over power for the city, like from the mayor.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Enjoy that.
Yeah.
Enjoy the spring. Try to I don't know, cement the friendships that I have here while I have the chance.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
How about you?
For me, it's gaining even more friendships, securing the ones that I already have. That's true. And I think also I want to really contribute to the research that my lab is doing. And I really want to get to somewhere very interesting while I'm here. I know it's a very optimistic view on a bachelor's degree, but but still I'm a part of research, and it's a great thing. I love it. Yeah,
definitely. So that's all the time we have. Thank you guys so much for joining me today, and thank you for taking the time out of your day to come and talk. And this has been Tiksu to UniTartu. Thank you.